Is bhakti only about visiting temples or taking categorical positions on matters of faith? That is the question that viewers must ponder when they next watch Rahul Gandhi visit a temple. Times Now has accessed the video report of a popular channel that claims that the Ramsethu, that was once dismissed as a myth by Rahul's party, the Congress, and his government, the UPA, is real. That's right. Here are the hard facts as stated by a reputed international channel up front. What does this channel tell us? This channel tells us that scientific analysis suggests that the Ramsethu is actually real. It is no myth. It is no passing work of fiction like the Ramayana, as claimed by certain rationalists. If this is indeed the case, then one could even argue that Lord Ram existed, is not a myth, and neither is the Ramayana. US archaeologists say that the 50-kilometer stretch is man-made. That's right, it is man-made. That stretch that is called the Adams Bridge or the Ramsethu is man-made. Report released by Science Channel on Twitter also comes out with excruciating details of the science that underpins this claim. The theory has been backed by scientists from 3 top US universities. The science report contradicts UPA's 2007 stand that they made in the Supreme Court. UPA claimed no proof that Ramsethu existed. They said, and let me actually quote them, "So where is the Sethu? We are not destroying any bridge. There is no bridge. It was not a man-made structure." This was posited by Fali S. Nariman in the Supreme Court based on investigations of the ASI. The ASI Director, Monument C. Dorji, at that time even said the petitioners, while seeking relief, have primarily relied upon the context of the Valmiki Ramayana, the Ramcharitmanas by Tulsidas, and mythological texts, which formed an important part of ancient Indian literature, but which cannot be said to be historical records to incontrovertibly prove the existence of the character or the occurrence of the event depicted therein. Now, for a few moments, watch this report that has excited Hindus and cemented their belief, their faith in the existence of Lord Ram, the Ramsethu, and the fact of the Ramayana. Listen to this report. It will absolutely stun you.
A NASA satellite passes over the shallow waters of the Indian Ocean. It sends back images of a chain of largely submerged objects running between Sri Lanka and India.
It looks like a string of pearls between 2 islands.
It looks to me like a rocky jetty, but this thing looks pretty big.
On closer analysis of the satellite image, investigators calculate the line of rocks is over 30 miles long. What makes the image especially intriguing is that the rocks are in an area of sea mentioned in an ancient Hindu poem. A poem which also refers to a magic bridge.
They're Hindu legends that the god Rama placed a bridge here connecting India to Sri Lanka.
The stones in the satellite image are sitting on something oceanographers call a shoal or sandbar.
These occur in an area where there's shallow waters, and sand could accumulate between the 2 landmasses.
The sandbar may be natural, but what's sitting on top of it is not.
This isn't just a simple sandbar. There's objects in here that haven't been eroded away.
There are stones that have been brought from afar and set on top of our sandbar island chain.
How these stones got here is a mystery. And when a team of geologists date the stones, the mystery deepens.
The rocks on top of the sand actually predate the sand. So there's more to the story.
Scientific analysis reveals the rocks are 7,000 years old, but are sitting on top of sand that is only 4,000 years old. These results suggest the structure in the satellite image isn't natural, but built by humans. Some scholars believe the ancient texts refer to a time 5,000 years ago. At this point in history, building such a long bridge would have been a superhuman achievement.
You watch the trailer. The assertions are direct and without an iota of ambiguity. What do they tell us? Let's go over the facts. Once again, the report has been released by Science Channel on Twitter. The full broadcast is expected to take place in about 12 to 14 hours. What the study found at the site, that the rocks are 7,000 years old, sandbar is only 4,000 years old. What it suggests, that the rocks on top actually predate the sandbar at the bottom. What does that suggest to you? What does that suggest to you? That there was an attempt at construction. This was not a geological phenomena. The sandbar may be natural. They wonder how it was done. So clearly, back then, technology did exist to move huge rocks, in this case, limestone rocks. The rocks were placed on top of the sandbar and they were shaped to form a bridge. That's what this report clearly and unambiguously states. Now contrast this to the year 2007, when Bhakt Rahul's Congress was happy to disregard Hindu sentiments and destroy the Ramsethu for the construction of the Setu Sumundaram project. They even submitted an affidavit in the Supreme Court, which was later withdrawn under pressure. Vivek, our executive editor, has the details of what the affidavit said at that time. Vivek, over to you.
Well, precisely, Rahul, in Government of India's policy towards Ramsethu, whether it existed, whether it did not exist, was always driven by political ideology. It was quite clear from the affidavit given in 2007. As you said, here the ASI's lawyer representing the Archaeological Survey of India, which was of course always under the control of Government of India and the powers that may be, at that time UPA 1, saying that there are several references here but which cannot be said as a historical record or inconvertibly prove that the existence of characters or occurrences depicted are true. This essentially says that characters in Ramayana, including Ram himself, existed or not. It goes on to say, however, a mere named reference cannot conclusively prove the fact that formation is actually man-made structure. The existence of human remains, whether it be in the form of bones, etc., or in the form of other artifacts, is primarily to prove archaeologically the existence and the veracity of a historical fact. Well, interesting, Rahul, just one more thing. Immediately after this was in 2007, towards December 2007, yes, NRSA, the National Remote Sensing Agency, which is under ISRO, a professional organization whose chairman at that time was Mr. Madhavan Nair. With a forward from him, it came out with a magazine detailing the India's satellites and the images that they have taken out. In that, let me just read out, very interesting statement comes out there in that 2007 statement. Says, the controversial Adams Bridge could be man-made as it has, quote-unquote, an echo of the ancient mythological epic, the Ramayana. I tried since morning to find a copy of that book, that image, but somehow it has completely disappeared off the shelf. Nobody knows where it is. And as I said, it's always political convenience which drives political parties and including agencies like this to come up with theories.
The big question therefore arises, did the UPA trample over Hindu faith by questioning the existence of Lord Ram and by extension the Setu? And if this was indeed the case, were they taking a leap into the unknown based on the research that was put together by the ASI. Now, the ASI has been once again asked to conduct this research, but it's yet to begin. How is that bhakti, or Rahul's bhakti, belief, suddenly deserted him when his government took a position calling for the destruction of the Ramsethu? Another big question. In the wake of these claims, should the Congress now apologize for hurting the sentiments of crores of Hindus? A NASA satellite, no less, has picked up details. American universities, not one, not two, but three, scores of scientists, geologists as they are called, historians, have worked, have actually gone there, explored, and put together this finding that the UPA was ready to cast aside. Is a bhakti only about visiting temples or taking categorical positions on matter of faith? That's the fundamental question. Is bhakti only about visiting temples, or is it about taking categorical positions on matters of faith? The UPA could clearly have said, nothing doing. We are not going to approve the Setu Sumundram project. Remember, there were many backers for the Setu Sumundram project saying that 36 hours of shipping time could be saved if you just cut the Adams Bridge or the Ramsethu in half and go through it. Build a Panama Canal or build a Suez Canal through it. We would save 36 hours of time. India could earn crores and crores through ships that were going to be passing, through taxes, calling upon ships who are passing through this canal on their way perhaps to Singapore and further east. Money was driving this compulsion. The lure of trying to cut time was luring this compulsion. But I want to ask, if you believe that you're a real Hindu, as Rahul Gandhi suggests he is, would he have trodden, as he did clumsily, as his government did clumsily, over Hindu sentiments? And then, of course, there is always the tricky question. Was there a tendency under the UPA to not accord the same level of sanctity to Hindu sensitivities as those of Muslims? That's the fundamental question. That is a loaded political question.